78.6 FM Yomaton, positive vibes with Winsome. Man, it's been a few weeks. I want to say it's been about 3 Saturdays since I've been away from this microphone, and I just want to tell you guys I missed you, and hopefully you missed me. It has been an amazing experience. I got to spend some quality time with the kiddos. I hadn't seen them in a minute, so being able to get back to the U.S., give them their time, spend some wonderful, amazing time with them and get some great memories. I hadn't been on a cruise in a long time. I hadn't been on a cruise in probably, I want to say close to 5-6 years, right? If that, maybe a little bit less time than that. So we took the kids, right? Took little man and little mama. We got out there and got on a boat. Went out of Long Beach, California, and headed over to Cabo and Ensenada. And I want to tell you guys this: the logistics. Let's just go with me for a second, okay? The logistics of getting from Japan to Arizona, from Arizona to California, from California going on a cruise with kiddos. All of this, the logistics of that. I'm surprised that I don't have more gray hairs in this beard because I needed a vacation from the vacation after that bad boy was over. I'm going to tell you, I loved it, and I would never complain about that. It was an amazing adventure. But realistically, there's a lot. People always think, oh, you went on a cruise, you went on a vacation. Dude, it's logistics. You got to understand, when you do things like that, those activities, a lot goes into planning, moving, and I'm still recovering from going from Japan Standard Time to Mountain Time to Central Time it was crazy, right? And I came back a little bit early this week to work, earlier than I originally planned, and just to kind of get my rhythm going, right? You call it a battle rhythm. So just try to get my battle rhythm going again. So I went back a little bit early this week, and man, I missed the team. I really did. It's one of those things a lot of people say, oh, I missed you guys. No, when I was gone, you know, when you love what you do and you're doing what you love, when coming back to work doesn't feel like you came back to work, it feels like you came back home. And I will tell you, that's such a blessed feeling, right? I walked back in the building, it was like I hadn't seen the other family, right, in a few weeks. So I want to say this, man, to the team, the McDaniel Center team, thank you for being you. Thank you for being family. I missed you as much as you missed me. And I know I never really left, right? So I'm one of those guys. It's not work to me. So while the kiddos are in school or while they're in the activity center on the boat, you know, I'm on the laptop like, hey, let me see what's going on with the family, because I don't want to leave anybody hanging just because I'm not sitting at that desk, right? So it's one of those things, people, man, leave work where it is. It's not work to me. And that's really what it boils down to. I don't see what I do now, the opportunities we have to educate, motivate, and inspire as work. What I see it is an extension of who I am, because I love what I do. And I love the people that I do that with. All right, quick shout out while I was gone. Even when I came back, I didn't want to be there at the McDaniel Center because they had, of course, we had to pick a new team lead for our first term Airman Center position. And my little brother, Jalen Phipps, got picked up. If you guys follow me, if you've known me and you've seen me moving, this is one of those guys who, Jalen's a brilliant, talented young man. All of the really cool pictures you see with the drone flying up. This is Jay, right? So to find out that he was one of the 7 that competed for this position and got the job, right? I had nothing to do with it. I'll say that real quick. I was not there. I wasn't in the interview room, and I told them, because I saw that he was applying, I don't want to have any parts of this, because I want to make sure it's unbiased and that you guys get to see everybody for who they are. And to find out that he got it really made my day. So, Jay, shout out to you, man. Congratulations. I can't wait to start working with you. I saw you yesterday. I was trying to leave you alone because I know you're taking in all that information, right? That first day. It's a lot of info, a lot going on. But I just want to tell you, I'm very proud of you. I can't tell you how happy that makes me as your big brother to see you doing great things and consistently and continuing to grow. So, hey, on behalf of me and the team, welcome to the family. And like I told you, it's not work to me. And you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. It's an amazing opportunity to give back everything that you are. So, 78.6 FM, positive vibes with Winsome. Wow. We got a lot of cool things going on, man. Let's just say this. Next week, I have a lot of teaching engagements. One of my teammates is going to be taking on another temporary position. And so I'm picking up some of the stuff that we had planned as a duo to do. But hey, that's what happens when you take 2 weeks off. Get back to work. That was our joke last week. You took 2 weeks off? All right, get back to it, right? It's game time. So one of the cool lessons that I'm teaching, which is what I'm going to speak on today, some of the lessons that I pulled from this book, is happier no matter what. If you guys haven't been tracking, I'm going to see if I can pull up a picture for you. It's from Tal Ben Shahar. I'm going to try to pull up a picture. But that book, if you guys are ever in a funk, just need a boost, punch in the chest, whatever it is, this is a little quick pick if you can see it. Happier no matter what. I always listen to this thing, and maybe once a month. This book is novel. It's amazing. One of the best-selling novels of the year it came out, and it's always worth a listen. But the lessons themselves, right? We explore in my job and one of my roles as a resiliency trainer. We explore a lot of resiliency tools. And the Department of Defense, we have, the main four that we talk about for 20 years, however many years it's been out there: spiritual, mental, physical, and social resilience, right? But this book dives deeper. This novel goes way deeper into each one of those aspects. So if you've never really explored who you are as an individual, what makes you tick, right? If you haven't explored why it's important to be in tune with what you're feeling, why it's important to understand what a I won't even call it a good or bad, but what a positive and negative emotion feels like and how you respond to it, right? You talk about mindfulness and mindsets. If you haven't explored that, like really dug deep into it, this is an awesome book that really, especially the audio book, is so sweet to listen to. It's really calm and chill. And the dude it's not dry, right? You've heard those dry about, and then the car goes across the street. No, this one's really, it's like your big brother talking to you about some lessons in life that you really want to hear. So I'll give a shout out real quick, man. Again, see if I can show the picture. Happier no matter what. This team, the Happiness Studies Academy, HSA, and Tao, Dr. Tao, we've been speaking over the last couple of months, and I was so inspired. I kind of kept this from you for a minute. I was so inspired that I was working behind the scenes to create a seminar based on this information, because I've heard this since I was a child, but some of the best kept secrets in the world are hidden, not in a safe, not underground. Some of the best kept secrets in the world are hidden in books, right? So as I'm reading this and exploring this information, I'm realizing, like, this is magic. Like, what sorcery are you doing, sir? Right? All jokes aside, I'm listening to this. I'm like, I need to share this with everyone. And Dr. Tao has been amazing. The folks who attend next week, if you're on Facebook and you follow him, you see that he has a little quick message for everyone. And the HSA, they've been great, man. It's like a superhero team of kind people. And they've been amazing and supportive, and I am so excited. I want to say that's Tuesday for us here. The classroom is filled up. I think it went from 40 to 38 back to 40, whatever it is. So we got a classroom full of people that are going to understand and hear these lessons and be able to walk away better than we found them, happier no matter what. So to be able to get those tools back, I'm blessed, humbled, and so grateful. A lot of really cool developments, right? So from that one, there's another novel that I was reading called Primal Leadership, and that team is just as amazing. We're developing a seminar for that as well, which will be probably the end of this month, and giving myself some time, being realistic, because as you know, I was supposed to be traveling back to Greenland. That kind of got pushed on the back burner with my last trip. I had to kind of delay some things, and so it may not happen until the fall. Kind of waiting to see what's going on with funding and all that type of stuff. But it boils down to this: the happier no matter what at the beginning of the month, and then the primal leadership. This is what we call it, primal leadership. Make sure I said that right the first time. And again, an amazing team. I spoke to one of the members last night behind some of the concepts such as resonant leadership, and I'm just so excited to share. And people are just opening their hearts and their world to share this with others because again, some of the best secrets in the world are hidden in behind those pages. And what happens is people who read a book or people who listen to the audio book, they feed their own soul, right? They take it all in. They feel real good about themselves. But how often do you actually see those people really excited to share that information? They might pass a cover. Hey man, check this out. Read this book. You know, it's really cool. Or check out this speaker. But no, but actually sharing the concepts and really studying those concepts to be able to teach them back. And then in addition to that, work with the root to make sure that what you're giving back is actually not just what you interpreted, but from what the writer, the authors, the people who did the research, what they wanted to convey. To have that opportunity, to have that as something we can do. I want to do that with every seminar that we teach if we can. So amazing. Talent Smart has been wonderful with emotional intelligence 2.0, the author, connecting with these folks. It's just, wow. And so you asked the question, you see how excited I get. Forgive me. This, man, it's like a whole new world has opened up this year. But you asked the question, why would you pop open your laptop? You're on leave. You're on vacation. You're supposed to be relaxing. I was. That was like getting warm hugs every day. Every time I pop up and it's some good news or somebody reaching back or, I get to do this for a living, right? I get to talk to you about it. I get to share these things with you. Some of the things that also came out while I was over there, thinking about mindfulness. And I'll tell you a story in a second, but, we got out in this, if you ever been on a cruise, you get options to do excursions. So what the excursions are, is where you can lead a boat and you can go do little adventures. You got to pay for it. Nothing's free. Don't get it twisted. You got to pay for the adventure, right? And then it's not just you as you got to pay for you and the kids. Everybody has their own price point, right, to what you get to do. So I'm picking one that's reasonable, A, but B, that the kids will have fun doing, right? So I'm like, okay, what would the kids enjoy? So let me look at this. Bam, bam, bam. And there was a pirate ship. There was one where you get off the big cruise boat and you get to go and walk onto a pirate ship. And you adventure with these pirates in Cabo, and they're just kind of, exploring, showing you different places along the Cabo reef or cove, whatever you want to call it, and pointing things out to you. But I'll tell you, it was so exciting to me, right? I'm looking at the rock formations. I'm looking at the water. Now I'm here. Right, I can't be disappointed of where I'm at right now comparing that to Cabo water. It's like night and day. However, the beauty in itself, every location has its own unique beauty. In Cabo, man, it was beautiful, right? I picture myself living in one of the little houses in the hills up there. But watch this. As I'm watching the rock formations and the waves move and the boat and the captain talking in the background, telling jokes, and the folks, the crew passing out food, I was watching the kids. So I'd look and see what the kids were enjoying. My son, he's in his phone. My daughter wasn't happy. She was like, this is boring. It's nothing. It's not virtual reality. All jokes aside, to try to bring them out of that mindset of you got to see what's around you. You got to take it all in. You got to see how cool this looks from a old man perspective, trying to communicate that to 9 and 11-year-old, let me tell you something. It's different because it's a different perspective. And I can't wait to come back and talk to you a little bit more about perspective because it's crazy how that can change everything. But when you can tap into the perspective of others and bring them to a perspective that balances them out or makes them happy or brings a positive view to whatever they're going through or dealing with, that's the beauty and what we get to do and what I get to do. And I love it. And I'll tell you how that worked out with the kiddos. After we get back from this break, some perspective, some mindfulness, and I might talk about a little other topic after that. See you after this break. Bye. 78.6 FM Yoma Time. Positive vibes of Winsome. Some of the best kept secrets are hidden in the book. Right? So I love this book, Happy No Matter What, more than anything else, probably because a lot of the topics and a lot of the I guess you could say concepts we talked about all the last 2 years. And it's really the way that it was all tied together, the research behind it, the importance and delivery, the deliberate delivery of this book that really inspired me and motivated me. So again, Happy No Matter What. That it was one of the coolest things to be able to listen to again while I was traveling from Japan to the U.S. So one of the things that I want to talk about is perspective, right? If you heard the story before the break, you heard me mentioning how we get to Cabo and I'm just all in it, right? I picture myself, which I hate picturing myself jumping in the water and hanging out in the waves, swimming with the dolphins if they're in there, right? No. But then you got a 9 and 11-year-old who what they see is a pirate ship. Ain't really nothing going on. Yeah, I'm just not really entertaining me to do saying jokes that aren't connecting to me. Where's the cartoons? My daughter, where's my anime? Right? My son, where's my virtual reality toy? I mean, all these things I noticed. And then I said, okay, let me see if I can share what's making me happy with them. Maybe I can shift the perspective a little bit because their perspective is what they don't have. And I'm trying to enjoy what I'm seeing and what I'm taking in. So maybe if I can connect the dots for them, right, to help them see what I'm seeing. So I tell my daughter, baby, come here. Let me come show you something. Come here. So she comes over. I said, look at all the water, baby. Look at how the waves are moving. Look at how the boat's swaying. Look at those formations. The captain said that's called a Scooby-Doo rock. Right there, right? And the rock was cute. It had like little pointy ears like Scooby-Doo. And she smiles because she likes Scooby-Doo, right? So she's connecting. And she's connecting with it. She's starting to see a little different perspective other than this old pirate's boat, people trying to get tips. She was seeing, oh, there's more to it. I got to just get up and see it a little differently, right? My son sees her smiling and staring off into the rock formations and the water and the movement, and he gets up now. He wants to come see what's so cool over here. And he's like, what are you guys looking at? And watch this. I break it down. Son, look at the rocks and the water. And as we're looking, you can't make this stuff up. This is life, folks. This is how beautiful our world is. As we're looking into the water on top of the blue, all of a sudden you see this white patch, right? And something moves. And it goes, no, what was that? I didn't think nothing of it. Then the white patch gets wider and you see this big tail come out and then go into the water. So what my kids were looking at was a whale breaching the surface. And then the captain catches it. He's like, hey, guys, we got a whale sighting. But how magical was that? I'm trying to connect the babies, give them a different perspective of this experience. And as we reach over or look over into the water, now we're seeing a whale breaching, which was not part of the plan, which was not scripted, which was not something that the captain put us out there at a certain time of day to see. They didn't expect it either. It was just what the world provided. And it was a beautiful opportunity to show my kids there's so much more if you look for it. So you start worrying about what you don't have. You start missing out on what you do have. You start resenting what you don't have. You start realizing that, hey, I'm focused too much on the negative. Let me look at what's good in my life. Let me look at what's positive right now. Now, you see the whale's tail come out of the water and just hang out for a second and slowly go back in. The kids are bought in. They're all in it now. Now there's a purpose behind this trip. Wait a minute, I get to see some really cool stuff. What else is out here? It shifted. Well, what was cool about that experience and what I want to talk to you about perspective is think about what you do for a living. Is it a job? Is it a career? Or is it your calling, your purpose? Think about this for a second. A lot of people go to work every day, right? They just get through the day. And like, I got a 9 to 5. Can't wait till 5 o'clock comes. Guess what? That's how they see their job every single day. I got to do this. I got to pay bills. I got to go to work. I got to support the fam. But then when it's a career, It's a different perspective. They approach it not as what I have to do, but something that, hey, there's opportunities in this. Listen to me when I tell you, my kids, we got to get off the ship today. Then they get on the ship, and then they see the well. Then it's, there's probably some cool stuff that we can see out here. It shifted, right? Now they're connecting to a different purpose, a different perspective of this one adventure, of this one thing. And some people have these redundant things like jobs that they've gotten so used to. It's a job versus it's a career. I can grow, I can advance, I can bring something to the table every day. This is an opportunity for me too. And then think about those people who see those same jobs that they do as a calling. Perspective shifts, right? This is something that I get to do. Oh man, I can't believe that I get to wake up every single day and come educate, motivate, and inspire. Imagine folks who see their life like that, their job, what they do, their career, their calling. See, it kind of moves up a level, changes. Your perspective changes. The way you see your day changes. Wake up. I got to go to work. Can't wait till the weekend. Or the other person. All right, I got 5 days. Let me see. Let's get this grind going. Right, let me see what I can get in here and get done. Or this person. Man, I got another week to do something beautiful. I got another opportunity this morning to change a life or save a life. I get to go in here today and do something great. I get to teach. I get to coach. I get to facilitate. I get to mentor. All these things. So they did a study. And it's one of the studies mentioned in the book, of course, Happier No Matter What. I'm going to teach this on Tuesday. But when they were speaking of it, one of the studies was they talked to janitors in a hospital. And they asked the janitors, the same questions and the kind of topic I just brought to you. Like, hey, what do you do? One of the janitors said, I clean up spills, right? Well, another janitor was, I keep this place clean. And then the person who felt they had a purpose in the career, this is a janitor. A lot of people have their own misperception of what a janitor probably feels like. But these other janitors in this study, they felt connected to the mission. Listen to me. They made that connection to what they do every day. And they said, I get to keep this place safe. So that doctors can operate in a safe environment. So the customers don't get sick based on bacteria that's probably cluttered up in some area or touch on something that's going to get them even worse or sick more than they were. That's connecting, changing your perspective. Yeah, janitor, I got to sweep and mop. Got to clean up. I got to come do this every day. But I need to make my paycheck. Or the guy, hey, yeah, we got to get this done, man. This is what I do. So, if I want to get out of this gig, I got to do a good job in this gig because the next job might call back here to get a reference. Or the person, while I'm here, I'm part of this. I'm part of the team. When I read that, it reminded me of this episode of Scrubs. Y'all know I love that show, Scrubs, right? It's one of my favorite shows. Anytime I need to smile, I'll throw that on, and it'll just play in the background. It always makes me happy. I always hear something that gives me life, right? And there was a scene in there where one of the nurses wanted to get a group picture of everybody in the hospital. Carla, that's the name of the character, wanted to get a picture of everybody in the hospital. So she puts this out. Hey, we're taking a picture. Everybody's like, nobody wants to do that, right? And the janitor was like, it's not going to happen. And he had like kind of an attitude like it's not going to happen. And he was doing everything to sabotage the picture. Like he just was bitter about it. So finally, Carla asked the janitor, and the funny thing is the dude's name was janitor in the show because nobody ever really knew what his real name was. One of the other funny parts of this. She says, why do you even care? And he says, it's funny. I've been here for 12 years. You would think that I would be invited to be in a picture with everyone. And for a second, it makes you pause like, whoa, that's right. He is a part of this family, but they treat him different because of the uniform that he wears. They don't see him as family. However, he saw himself as part of the team. That was his perspective. I'm part of this. So why can't you see that? It was beautiful and it really tied in cool with what I was reading in the passage because I'm like, wow, everybody can take what they do and make it something redundant. And this is all talking about career, but everything we teach is not about career, right? It's about how you apply these things in life. The book goes even deeper and starts talking about parenthood. Do you see being a parent as this is what I need to do or I have to do? As being a parent, this is what I do, or this is what I get to do. Right? They did a study too, an amazing study. This is one of my favorite stories, and it talks about telemarketers and fundraisers for college. Again, we're talking about perspective, right? And how it affects individuals. So I'm getting away. So fundraisers and marketers. And you guys know exactly who I'm talking to. If you used to have the old rotary phones, or if your phone comes up with the unknown number, that person that's calling you. And they're like, hey, I want to talk to you about, see if you're part of the alumni trying to raise some money for the students who can't afford college. And first thing you're probably saying is, look, man, stop calling my number. Or why are you calling me? And some people don't even give them that. They just hang up. Imagine being on the other end of that phone call, right? So you're getting, the phone picks up, you hear the person say, hey, this is John, who's this? And you're like, hey, John, I'm from such and such university. Click. After a while, that starts eating away at you. After a while, that just chips a little bit out of you. And I've worked telemarketing before. I know people in there are bitter, they're frustrated. But again, a lot of people just come up with that concept. I got to do this to get my check, right? So imagine what changes when the person who's over this company takes a time out throughout the week to say, hey, let me talk to you guys for a second. Get off the phone for an hour or 30 minutes. And when they take that person into a room, and who's waiting for them is someone who benefited from the phone calls that they were making. Someone who was able to pay for school because of the time you took to raise funds, possibly get cussed at, hung up on, or are told to leave me alone. But the folks that actually supported the initiative, that's why I'm here, because you took that time, because you took the whippings, the beatings for me. I'm going to tell you about how that affects the psyche when we come back. 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes of Winsome. We'll be right back. .6 FM, Positive Vibes of Winsome. We're talking about perspective and mindset. Just gave you some quick examples. I'm not giving away everything. I'm not diving too deep because I'm teaching this on Tuesday. So if you guys want to check it out, I'll record it and I give you the full with the slides and all that stuff, the stuff that we actually go over and study, dig deep. I'm giving you just some examples right now of some of the cool stories that were highlighted in the book, Happier No Matter What. And you know, what I pulled from those stories and how amazing it was to actually hear the research that goes behind how we come up with how the mind works, right? And how those predominant thoughts take over how you approach different things. And it's funny, like, we did a little practice. I was in class the other day, and it was so funny. I heard it in the book, and I said, let me try this out. Completely different class. And I said, don't picture the pink elephant. Everybody's already picturing the pink elephant, right? And I said, no. Don't picture the pink elephant. Whatever you do, don't picture the pink elephant with the long trunk and the fluffy pink ears. Don't do it. It just, whatever you do, just don't pick. Everybody's smiling and laughing in the classroom. And that's how powerful your mind is. Think about this. I just gave you not even 15 seconds worth of a thought, and it took over everything. All you can see was the pink elephant, right? Your mind is picturing, I guarantee you, not everybody in this room is picturing the same elephant. Some of you pictured Dumbo, pink. Some of you pictured something else. But the point is, that thought was taken over based on just not even 15 seconds, maybe 10 seconds of information. So if your mind is that powerful and can take over that quick, what happens when you have a negative perspective when approaching things in life? And when your self-talk is negative, when your perspective is negative. You know, we dive into EQ, emotional intelligence, all the time, but when we're talking about trying to take your life back and control your mindset, when you can actually control how you see things, I'm not going to allow that to take over. I'm not going to allow that to emotionally hijack me. I'm not going to allow that to be perceived as negative. I'm going to take that as a lesson. Or I'm going to take that as, this is how I'm going to counter if it's something that's negative. Or this is how I'm going to approach the day. Or this is how I'm going to approach the job. And it gave out a bunch of amazing concepts. One of the cool things that I was mentioning before the break was the research when they had the students that were in the room waiting for these marketers and telemarketers to come in and talk to them. So imagine I'm sitting in a chair and you come in, you've been getting beat up all day on the phone, people cussing at you, hanging up the phone on you, telling you to stop calling you out your name probably. And you walk in the room and the person who walks you and says, you got 15 minutes with this guy. And I'm sitting there and I got something nice on, probably I'm wearing with a little tie, whatever it is. Just picture me in that. I'm like, thank you. I just want to tell you thank you. Because everything you're doing right now is the reason why I'm able to sit here and talk to you. The reason why I have some job interviews lined up tomorrow. The reason why my parents are proud of me. The reason why I was able to accomplish some goals that I never even thought possible. Thank you. Now, telemarketer, you got 15 minutes for this person telling you their story, right? Maybe longer. Hey, man, let me tell you, I left a really tough neighborhood, and to get this scholarship opportunity or the funding that was provided based on what you're doing, I was able to get away from that. I survived where some others didn't, and I'm in class, and I'm now have my degree in social psychology, and I'm taking care of people using some of the skills I learned. Imagine that. Created a nonprofit, all because of what you're doing right now. And I wanted to say thank you. What do you think that does to the psyche of the person who's been getting beat up all week? What do you think that does to the mind of a person who has approached this job this entire time as just that, a job? Not able to connect how that affects the other side. Couldn't connect themselves to the mission or the goal. It's perspective. It shifted everything. So for a lot of these people walking out of their room, and the studies show they were more energized. They were more effective. They were better. They were more positive approaching those conversations, even after getting hung up on, all right, on to the next one. Because they no longer allowed that negative perspective or that what they saw to rule them. It was that new piece of information and allowing to build on that new perspective that made them more effective, that made them more positive, that allowed them to be successful. And even if they weren't, they felt successful because now they can see what it looks like on the other end. Sometimes it takes that. So shift. How do you connect to those things that you're trying to I want to see this differently. I want to approach this differently. I want to bring some new energy to this, Winston, because the way I'm doing it right now, I'm not feeling what you're saying. I can't. I got one of those jobs that's a 9 to 5. My boss doesn't listen to me. Or, hey, I come home. It's a miserable household. I don't really feel like I'm getting much accomplished. I'm tired. Watch this. I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. And again, happier no matter what, right? Tal Ben Shahar, thank you so much for this. I love you for it. Hey, listen, I want you to ask 3 questions. I want you to reflect on this. When you're doing something that you're trying to shift your perspective, 1 question. This is important to me because. That's 1. Reflect on that. Whatever the task is, whatever it is, if it's work, home, whatever, off time, this is important to me because. And then find something in there. For example, I mentioned at the beginning of this segment or this episode today, I mentioned how I found in what I do, the way I approach it, I realize that I connect everything I do to the things that I love, right? I love to teach. I love to coach. I love to facilitate. The reason I came back for this. So the question you ask yourself is, in this that I'm accomplishing, I'm passionate about this part of it. Can you find something that you love in it? Can you connect to something in there that makes it, this is what I'm passionate about doing. If you work human resources, I like typing. I know I'm a fast typer, right? I did that for 16 years, or probably longer than that, 18 years. I like typing. I like to see how fast my mind actually processes information and respond. And I love when people love my response. And that, think about that. Can you connect some way to that? And then the last question, and this is probably my favorite question, especially with what we do. By doing what I do, I help others by. Think about that. Because at the end of this story, you're not going to be judged by what you have. You're going to be judged by your character and what you gave back. Who were you and how did you help others? You remember, I could spit Dr. King quotes all day, right? What did you do for others? Anyway, you ask yourself those 3 things, man. That's the having that calling mindset. It's shifting from it being a job to a career to a calling. It's shifting from being a task to this is how I connect to this is what I love to do. And this is why. It talks about parenting. You go home, it can be a monotonous task. Got to get home, got to cook dinner, got to get the kids, got to read them a book, got them to get them in a bath, whatever order, right? And then it's, let me make dinner. Look at those kids over there eating, man. Look at how much fun they have in the bath. Look at how my son connects to this story that I'm telling right now. And I'm seeing him with a little wheel spinning in his head. 2, oh my gosh. I get to be a part of these little things' lives. I get to be the spark that can probably change everything for them. They get to see what presence feels like. They energize me. They remind me of what my why is. They show me, they give me a boost every time I get to spend time with them. If I've had a rough day, I get to come home and see this. This is why I do what I do. I want you to see me succeed because I want you to see what success looks like. I want you to see me fight so you can see what swinging looks like. I want you to see when I struggle so you can see what it looks like to survive the struggle. Think about when you connected on that level versus, I got to get home. I got to change diapers. I got to make up the bed, or should I say cook dinner? I got to get these kids. I got to help with homework. I just sat in a panel with about, I want to say there was 10 wonderful ladies on this Women's History Month panel, and you can see when they started asking questions, do you feel like A, B, or C? You have what you need to be a successful mom, bam, 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 and the divide, the different areas people stand in. I forget the name of this thing, but you move based on your answer. So they have little posts for agree, strongly strongly disagree. And to see when it came to work-life harmony. But I'm going to tell you the difference. There was a significant difference between the single mothers and the mothers with a dual parent household. significant where they stood in the explanation they gave, if they agreed or strongly agreed or disagreed with if they had a good work-life. They call it this. It's different. We call it work-life harmony because there's never going to be a balance, right? It's going to be one or the other. You have to give a little bit more to sometimes. The key is trying to find that smooth harmony. Well, they call it work-life balance, right? Balancing work and life, which, of course, when you hear that, you're thinking that you're supposed to balance something. Again, so these ladies, and listening to their stories and what they go home to, one of the ladies I'm going to talk to offline, because I was listening to her, I was like, a lot of things you say, it's beautiful, but a lot of the things that are negative or that you're perceiving as negative is stuff that you're putting on your own plate. It was crazy. Like, I can see the stuff that life's bringing your way, but you're complaining about things that you added to your plate. I'm going to stop, right? Because she's doing amazing things, but I was just listening like, and I'm a guy, so I'm never going to raise my hand in that format and be like, hey, lady, let me tell you in Women's History Month, some suggestions. Heck no, I'm not trying to get roasted out that room. But I was like, she's a friend of mine. I'm going to talk to her offline and see if I can help with that work-life harmony. Because if it's self-inflicted wounds and you just need to reset and relook at what you're putting on your own plate, sometimes that might shift your perspective on those things as well. And you may not be standing in a strongly disagree. You may be standing neutral or a little bit over to the other side. But again, I digress. I say this. I sat on that panel when I was listening to a lot of these things, and I was like, a lot of the perspectives change everything. Because the lady on the strongly agree versus the lady on the strongly disagree were pretty much saying the exact same thing. Not every time, but some of them were saying the exact same thing. They were just looking at them completely differently. It was crazy. I wish I could have recorded it so I can share that and chop it up for some folks later, but I didn't. It was a beautiful event. I really appreciate it that I was invited to it and to support one of my teammates. Belen, you did a great job with that and you did a great job on the panel. But again, I digress. 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes with Winsome. We've been talking about mindset and perspective. Just a little bit, just a little dash of mindset and perspective. I'm teaching more in depth on this on Tuesday. I threw some stories out there. We talked about how the janitors at the hospital saw work based on some research and some studies. Then we dove into, of course, talking about some people at home, how they chop up their work and getting home and how they see their children. We also talked about some other cool things of how my kids, even on the cruise, until they actually were able to see it from a different perspective, they couldn't feel it and be mindful in the moment, which is what we're talking about next week. Mindfulness. 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes with Winsome. Your mind is a powerful, powerful thing. The key is, do you have control over how you approach your day? Or do you let your mind emotionally hijack you and tell you how you're going to take your day? Are you in control of you? 78.6 FM, are you able to block out the noise and make your day what you want it to be? You are loved, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Positive Vibes with Winsome. I'll see you next week.